Hello, I'm Amy, a 37-year-old woman. The last few months have been quite an odyssey for me, a time of rediscovery and adjustment to new realities. This phase of my life was initiated by a series of challenges stemming from my husband, Daniel. Thankfully, a remarkably kind individual entered my life, serving as a true beacon of hope during this tumultuous period. Before I delve deeper into the events that unfolded, let me introduce the central figures in my story. First, there's my sister, Hannah, who is 5 years my junior. Hannah is undeniably stunning, and our childhood relationship was tumultuous. I was the quintessential bookworm, while she thrived as the life of the party, which inevitably led to ongoing tension between us. She had a remarkable ability to irritate me, possibly out of jealousy. Despite our mother's best efforts to mend our bond, the sibling rivalry continued. However, after I left for college and as we both grew up, we began to find some common ground. Although we were never particularly close, we managed to establish a peaceful coexistence that I was content with. Next, there's Daniel, my former husband. We met through work, and our connection was instant. After 2 years of dating, we decided to marry. We worked diligently and eventually purchased our first home. Although I was the primary earner, responsible for the mortgage, which was solely in my name, it felt like a shared triumph. A couple of years into our marriage, Daniel suggested starting a family, painting a picture of a warm, happy life filled with children. Despite my initial hesitations, his determination eventually persuaded me, and we welcomed a son, followed by a daughter 2 years later. At first, Daniel was a proactive and engaged father, but over time, his enthusiasm waned. Soon, the responsibility of managing our household and raising our children rested entirely on my shoulders. The support Daniel had promised seemed to vanish, leaving me to juggle our family's needs alone. I made the difficult choice to leave my job after Daniel received a significant promotion that put his salary above mine. It was a hard decision, and though I resisted for a long time, I eventually came to terms with it, realizing it wasn't worth the conflict. To fill the void and stave off boredom, I developed a passion for hosting dinner parties. My guests typically included my mother and sister, who lived nearby, along with my mother-in-law, Alexis, during her visits. Gradually, I found happiness in this new chapter, cherishing the time spent with my family and feeling satisfied with the state of my marriage with Daniel. However, our relationship faced strains, especially after a traumatic birth experience with our second child that nearly cost me my life. This incident created distance between us, but I didn't grasp the full extent of our problems until one day, while tidying up, I stumbled upon a pair of unfamiliar underwear. This shocking discovery shattered my heart and filled me with doubts about my worth as a partner. Even though over a year had passed since the birth and I was in ongoing therapy to cope with the aftermath, finding those panties made it painfully clear that Daniel was oblivious to my struggles. Anger and betrayal swiftly replaced my initial shock. I was resolute in uncovering the truth behind Daniel's unfaithfulness. My first step was to confront him with a photo of the underwear, demanding answers. Then I sifted through his laptop and social media, only to find nothing out of the ordinary at first, which only deepened my confusion. Fueled by desperation, I meticulously combed through every message, even though I believed it was a waste of time. Knowing all his contacts, the idea that someone close could betray me felt impossible until I began to notice my sister's name frequently appearing. Initially, I dismissed it, unable to conceive of her involvement in any wrongdoing. However, as I examined their conversations, my world came crashing down. The chats were filled with intimate photos, affectionate messages, and plans for Daniel to leave me. The realization hit me like a freight train, leaving me reeling from the magnitude of their betrayal. Discovering my sister's role in such a shocking betrayal was a bitter pill to swallow. Despite our rocky history, I could never have imagined her crossing such a line. My first reaction was visceral. I was so revolted by the revelation that I felt physically ill. When my attempts to reach Daniel went unanswered, I turned to Hannah, hoping for an explanation. The conversation with her was surreal. Her nonchalant attitude and justification for her actions with Daniel left me utterly bewildered. She claimed she was doing me a favor by diverting Daniel's attention, allowing me to focus more on our children. The absurdity of her reasoning only fueled my disbelief. Hannah's attempt to downplay the situation, suggesting she succumbed to Daniel's advances for what she thought was best for him, left me stunned. Her utter lack of remorse was the final straw, prompting me to end the call. Caught in a whirlwind of disbelief and rage, the aftermath plunged me into despair. As I attended to my youngest child's needs, the reality of the situation weighed heavily on me. The mundane tasks of the day felt hollow as I grappled with the emotional turmoil of betrayal by three people. Putting on a brave front for my children felt like an insurmountable task, especially when they asked about their father's absence, and I had no honest response to give them. As day faded into night and Daniel's absence became increasingly troubling, my anxiety deepened. I made several attempts to contact both him and Hannah, but each effort was in vain, amplifying my sense of isolation and dread. Worn out and overwhelmed by the events of the day, I clung to the hope that sleep would offer a temporary escape from my harsh reality. Unfortunately, that hope dissipated quickly as I awoke to an unsettling feeling, signaling that the ordeal was far from finished. When I looked around the room the following morning, the void left by Daniel's belongings hit me hard. A frantic search throughout the house confirmed my worst fears. Nearly all his possessions were gone, save for a few inconsequential items. It felt as if he had slipped away into the night without a word, opting for avoidance rather than confronting our issues. Amid the shock, my thoughts immediately turned to our children. They were my utmost priority. After ensuring their morning needs were met, I found myself standing at my mom's front door, the burden of my situation weighing heavily on me. My mother, with her keen intuition, immediately sensed my distress. Lost in my thoughts, I struggled to come to terms with the reality of becoming a single parent and the daunting road that lay ahead. Eventually, the moment arrived to shatter the silence and confide in her about the tumultuous events that had unfolded. I recounted the painful discovery of the affair, Daniel's quiet departure, and the heart-wrenching realization that my sister Hannah was entangled in it all. My mother's reaction mirrored my own disbelief as I revealed how I had unearthed the betrayal, an act I normally wouldn't have taken but felt compelled to do given the circumstances. Disclosing Hannah's involvement was as surreal as it was agonizing. Her indifferent response when confronted, justifying her actions as being in Daniel's best interest, was a bitter truth to swallow. My mother's blend of disbelief and sorrow offered little comfort as we faced the grim reality together. As I opened up to her about Daniel and Hannah's betrayal, I braced myself for the challenges that lay ahead in raising three children alone. I knew my family's support would be vital, yet the path forward seemed riddled with uncertainty and heartache. With the need to find employment amid this turmoil, my mother encouraged me to take a moment to rest as she processed the shocking news I had just shared. Her presence felt like a lifeline, offering a small sense of calm amid the chaos. Numb from everything I had endured, I managed to steal some sleep while my mom cared for my youngest child. However, my brief slumber was interrupted by the sounds of crying and my mother's elevated voice. I rushed to see what was happening and found her just finishing a heated phone call, likely letting Hannah know exactly how she felt about her actions. In the days that followed, my mother moved in to help manage things, simplifying logistics and providing invaluable emotional support. When Hannah tried to reach out, my mom firmly insisted on blocking her number, validating my feelings of betrayal during this profoundly lonely time. The hurt deepened when I learned from friends that Daniel and Hannah had hastily married shortly after he left us, adding a sharp sting to my already shattered heart. Accepting this news was incredibly difficult, requiring awkward and painful explanations to concerned friends who offered their sympathy and unanimously decided to sever ties with Daniel and Hannah. My mother's response to their marriage unveiled a fierceness I hadn't often witnessed. Known for her gentle nature, her anger at the news spoke volumes about her love and protectiveness towards us. Her willingness to provide financial assistance and help me seek job opportunities showed her steadfast support as we navigated this challenging transition. Facing questions from the kids about Daniel tested my resolve, yet we persevered, strengthened by our shared love and resilience. A week into this new reality, a letter from Daniel arrived. I hesitated to open it, suspecting it might contain an apology I wasn't ready to confront. The weight of everything we had endured hung heavily on my shoulders as I contemplated the next steps for my children and me. Empowered by my mother's steadfast presence, I decided to disregard Daniel's letter entirely, marking a point of closure for myself. A week felt far too generous for any thoughts of reconciliation, especially since he had chosen to leave us in silence, a move that reeked of cowardice. In a defiant moment, I destroyed the letter, though curiosity lingered. I occasionally found myself wondering about its contents, but quickly reminded myself that no words from him could repair the damage he had caused. The following day, seeking to inject some joy into our lives, my mother and I took the kids to the fair. It was a much-needed escape from the sadness that had overshadowed our days. Surrounded by laughter and the energy of life, I found myself genuinely smiling for the first time in ages. That evening, As my mom and I relaxed with a bottle of wine, I broached the topic of the letter I had received. "I got something in the mail last night," I started, a hint of hesitation in my voice. "Oh, what was it?" my mom asked, her curiosity piqued. "A letter from Daniel," I admitted. "And what did it say?" She leaned in closer, eager to know. "I have no idea," I confessed. "You didn't open it?" she replied, surprised. "No, I couldn't handle any of his excuses, so I burned it instead," I explained, a mix of defiance and slight regret flooding over me. My mom paused, contemplating. "Amy, what if it was something significant, like official divorce papers?" I shrugged off her concern. The envelope didn't look official at all. I doubt it was anything like that. "All right, if you're sure, but what do you think he might have written?" she gently probed. "I don't know, maybe just a half-hearted apology or a request for his belongings back." I found myself pondering, attempting to push aside the persistent what-ifs. Our conversation gradually shifted away from the letter as we concentrated on the happier moments of our evening. Still, the unspoken what might have been lingered, an unwelcome presence amidst the echoes of our past. Navigating this turbulent journey has felt like a roller coaster ride, but experiencing joy at the fair offered a glimpse of optimism. The hardest moments come when the kids ask about their father's absence. Choosing the right words is a constant struggle. While progress is being made, it's undeniably slow. My mother's steadfast support has been my anchor. During our chat, she revealed her decision to cut ties with Hannah, ensuring that her support and inheritance would exclusively benefit me and the children. This choice stemmed from Hannah's unforgivable actions and illustrated how deeply disappointed my mother was. Though I was initially taken aback, I quickly grasped her viewpoint. The idea of severing ties with one's child is unimaginable to me, further emphasizing my appreciation for my mother's unwavering support. Just as we began to adapt to our new circumstances, an unexpected visit threw me off balance. With my mother at work and no visitors expected, the sight of two men in dark suits at my door was shocking. Their introduction as lawyers ignited both my curiosity and anxiety, leaving me to wonder what they were here to discuss. When they handed me a check for an astonishing $520,000, I was left speechless, convinced that there had to be a mistake. However, the lawyers insisted there was no error and encouraged me to read the accompanying letter. It started with a heartfelt, "Thank you for saving me." As I read on, it became clear that this unexpected windfall was from Alexis, my mother-in-law. Her letter recounted an unplanned visit that had been thwarted by changed locks, leading to a revelation about Daniel's behavior. Alexis expressed her disappointment in her son and her compassion for me and my children. She declared her decision to pass on her entire inheritance to us as a gesture of gratitude and to right the wrongs caused by her son. The lawyers then delivered the heartbreaking news of Alexis's terminal illness and that she had passed away just a day before her wishes were made clear. She wanted me and her grandchildren to be well taken care of with the inheritance. Learning of her death and her final act of kindness brought tears to my eyes. Alexis had always been a pillar of integrity and support. Despite Daniel's fears of her, I always found comfort in her presence. Her last act underscored her dedication to doing the right thing, ensuring that her support would endure even after she was gone. Alexis's legacy lived not just in her assets, but in the love and protection she had given us, marking a significant chapter's end in our lives. When Daniel called, I anticipated where our conversation would lead but chose to engage out of a morbid curiosity. "What did you do?" he demanded. His vagueness prompted me to ask for clarification, leading to his frustrated inquiry about my absence on a particular day, a day he claimed he had mentioned in a letter asking me to maintain a facade of normalcy for his mother's visit. "Oh, was that what the letter was about?" I responded, admitting I had burned it without reading it. Daniel's fury was palpable. He accused me of undermining his potential inheritance, calling me selfish. His claim was steeped in irony, given that he abandoned his family for his own gain. I shot back, reminding him of his betrayal and asserting that his mother's decision reflected her understanding of what was best for her grandchildren and me. I concluded the call with a firm ultimatum: he was to never contact us again. From that point, I swiftly filed for divorce and secured full custody of our children. Daniel's attempts to contest Alexis's inheritance were in vain. Her will clearly favored me. Despite his and Hannah's efforts to pressure me into relinquishing the inheritance, I stood firm in my refusal. The financial stability granted by Alexis's generosity changed our lives. I set aside a substantial amount for my children's future education and made wise investments. This unexpected fortune allowed my mom to retire comfortably, and I embarked on a new career journey. My children have slowly come to terms with their father's absence, and I am ready to share the full story with them when they're older. Though this ordeal left scars, the support from my loved ones and the newfound financial security have been essential in navigating the aftermath. As we rebuild our lives, I am convinced that the only way to move is forward, guided by hope and resilience. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Stay tuned.